Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome to what on the surface looks like quite a quiet Thursday for Celtic. We're at that stage in the season now where things start to slow down. Celtic are cruising to yet another league title, potentially another treble, and I am just waiting for stories to come out of the blue. But as always here, I'll do my best to make a mountain out of a molehill. So stay with me. We've got a few things to talk about, including Celtic's chase for the league title, including Lennon Miller's future at Motherwell, and a few other wee things. Let's do that, shall we? If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. I especially ask of you to make sure you smash that like button below. As I said, we're at that stage of the season where things start to slow down. The news isn't churning itself out at the same rate, so any amount of likes on this video would go a great way in getting us onto the recommended page. It's down below, it's absolutely free, and let's try and get towards 50,000 subs before the end of this season. Here is a look at the Scottish Premiership table after the conclusion of matchday 28 in Scotland's top flight. Celtic still 13 points clear after Rangers win over Kilmarnock at Rugby Park. That's right, Rangers close to tasting defeat once more, it felt like, but they pulled it back, 2-0 down to end up 4-2 winners. The cycle's starting again. Barry Ferguson, best manager that the country's ever seen. It's starting already. I can't quite believe it, to be honest, but nonetheless, I can believe it. Who am I joking? Nonetheless, Celtic still 13 points clear, which means very, very soon we will be celebrating 4 in a row. That's right, the mathematics have been done. We have got confirmation pretty much of when Celtic could be champions if things all go to plan. Because as reported basically everywhere by now, including our very own Celtic the Thunder podcast last night, Celtic are now potentially 5 games away from crowning themselves champions of Scotland once more. It comes after that result last night, but Celtic now 28 games in, 13 points clear, including a game against Rangers. You do the maths. If we win every single game, including that game against Rangers, we could be 16 points clear by the time that game is said and done, which means it's only 5 games time where Celtic could officially be champions. Of course, we have a busy schedule until then, until we play Rangers. Rangers have European games as well to add into that, but we leave ourselves in a great position to potentially secure the title before the split. So if you look at Celtic's fixtures before the split, well, we could officially become champions against Kilmarnock on the final game of the season before the split on April 12th. So keep that date in your calendar. Of course, Celtic would need to win every game before that. I fancy your chances, considering 2 of them are at Celtic Park. St Mirren away, St Johnstone away, we should be winning anyway, so April 12th could potentially be the day of winning the league title. However, Rangers, on the other hand, they could slip up. They could slip up to Motherwell, they could slip up to Dundee, we don't know yet. We could win the league potentially sooner, but I think we can pretty much rule out any chance of winning the league against Rangers, sadly, on March 16th at Celtic Park. So the key date to look for right now is Kelly on April 12th, but yep, it looks as though it's happening. It's happening months ago. Who am I kidding on? But there you go. On that note, it's actually quite nice that Celtic are now back to playing 1 game a week. No more midweek fixtures between now and the rest of the planned fixtures. We'll probably get 1 through the split. We don't know who yet, we don't know when yet, but between now and Kilmarnock on April 12th, we're back to normal. We're back to 1 game a week, which is dire for the channel, sadly, but good for Celtic. I worry for the teams we face. They're going to get a fully fit Celtic side every single week. I am proper excited for the next couple of derbies, and yeah, we're in a really good place. It will allow players to recoup, bring their fitness back. So yeah, 1 more game this weekend, and then it's into that schedule of 1 game a week, which is great for this group of lads who have worked so hard this season. So let's talk about some of the stories that are doing the rounds this morning, starting with Lennon Miller of Motherwell. I know it's a wee bit early to be talking about potential transfers when we still have games to play and a season to finish, but there was headlines this morning which involved Lennon Miller talking about his future at Motherwell after months now of being linked with a move away, and of course with Celtic being one of the top suitors of Lennon Miller. This was the headlines in Glasgow World this morning, that Lennon Miller has addressed his Motherwell future after after Belgian and Celtic reports as he details his injury comeback. It's a pretty good interview with the player that you can go down and read. However, he is keeping his cards close to his chest right now, not detailing too much of what his potential route may be moving forward. His priority right now is getting back to full fitness after that big injury. You may remember right at the start of 2025, he was ruled out for up to 2 months with quite a sore one. He said his aim is to get back to being fit. The stuff takes care of itself, and I'm just focused on getting back on the pitch and playing for Motherwell. It's not nice to get injured and to be out for longer than you first expect. It's a tough one, but you've got to get your head down. I'm going to work hard, get as fit as possible, and then build from there. Still getting there a wee bit, obviously. I played back-to-back 90s when I first came back and felt fit enough, but there's still improvements there. The legs are obviously sore now, but we will recover. So he is not detailing anything in regards to these transfer rumours, despite all of the stories that were flying through, not just the summer window, the January window as well. And of course, with only a year left on his Motherwell deal, this summer coming will be a big one for Lennon Miller. I don't know if you remember, but this was one of the stories that came out on deadline day. Granted, it's through that Free Letter publication, who I hate giving credit to. They reported, David Friel and Robert Grave, that Celtic were weighing up a deadline day swoop for Lennon Miller on the 2nd of February this year. Apparently, there was an offer rejected in the January window for him. I don't know how much truth was perhaps in this story. You've got to take everything with a pinch of salt, especially if it's coming from the Sun. But we know that it's no secret that Celtic are one of the top admirers, that a lot of Celtic fans want to see Lennon Miller coming to Celtic, and when this summer rolls round, he's going to be a topic of discussion. So yeah, keeping his cards close to his chest right now, Lennon Miller, but I imagine as soon as the curtain falls on the 2024-25 campaign, his name will be linked with Celtic almost instantly. And I can't help but reiterate, it's something I've said many times already this season, it's a transfer that I think Celtic need to make happen, someone we need to go for, one of Scotland's top prospects. And at the end of the day, if you want your Scottish players in the team, if you want to meet that homegrown quota and all that nonsense in UEFA competitions, you've got to go for the top prospects. We've let them get away in the past, you know, your John McGinns, your Stephen Fletchers back in the day and all the rest of it. We can't let it happen with Lennon Miller. I think he's someone who could be such a good asset to Celtic, and with only a year left on his deal, as I mentioned, there's potentially a bargain to be had there. Now, Motherwell are in a position where they still will command a fee. They'll think to themselves, we'd rather keep him for the year and get use out of it than they sell him on the cheap. But Celtic and whoever else wants him are in a position of power. You know, Motherwell, not exactly best place to be passing up millions of pounds. So if we can get in there early days before anybody else and make a lucrative enough offer, I think he should be and could be a Celtic player in the summer. But we don't really know what he's thinking about it. As I said, keeping his cards close to his chest. And as you would. And when you're a professional footballer, you know, your priority is with the club you're currently with, and he's made that clear through that interview with Glasgow World and Lanarkshire Sport this morning. This season, he's scored 4 goals and assisted 6 across all competitions. Of course, has been out with an injury as well, which has held him back from playing as much football as he'd like, but 10 goal contributions in just around 30 games this season. For a player of his age, it's fantastic. I mean, the boy is only going to be 19 going into next season. I think Celtic have to make it happen. I think he could be a potential Callum McGregor replacement. If you want to play him up the higher end of the park as well, he could be a pivotal part of the midfield going forward. If Hatate or Engels were to leave, I just think it would be daft to pass this up. The reward is far greater than the risk. So I hope Celtic go and try and make this one happen. Of course, Celtic's trip to Munich last week ended in heartbreak. I was there, I witnessed it firsthand, but there was definitely positives to take out of the performance. One of them being Daisen Maeda's performances across both legs. What a pivotal part of Celtic's success in Europe this season. One of the best players in Europe altogether, outside of Celtic. You take consideration of Bayern Munich players, Real Madrid players, whoever else. Daisen Maeda's been right up there in Europe this year, and he's getting all the plaudits he deserves. In fact, Cameron Carter-Vickers let us into a wee secret that he spoke to Eric Dyer of Bayern Munich, and they had nothing but good things to say about him, courtesy of the Mirror, and of course 67 Hail as well here. Their article said that, speaking to the Mirror, he said that Eric Dyer said that all they done was talk about Dyson Maeda. They were talking about how much energy he puts into the game and how incredible he is. They were having a general chat about the two games, and they said after the first leg they got the running stats up in the changing room. He said everyone was talking about how much high speed distance Dyson did. He's catching the attention of everybody across Europe this season, football fans everywhere, and it's a scary thing because you don't want that to happen from a selfish point of view. You're like, whoa, don't want to see Dyson going anywhere, but at the same time it's nice to see these Celtic players in the limelight. It's a place that he especially deserves to be, but this team deserves to be, and no wonder they're talking about him, because the shift that he's put in this season has been unbelievable. Vickers also said in that same conversation that we get all the stats in terms of high speed running, sprint distances, and he's always top of the charts for that. His work rate is incredible. He outworks defenders. He's always on the move. He's hard to pick up. He is a threat. And in that same article from 67 Hail, so massive shout out to the guys over there, they did detail this distance covered stat where he's covered 98 kilometres this season. In UEFA stats, he's been the 32nd hardest working player out of the obviously hundreds that are included. Harder working than Jude Bellingham, Harry Kane, Antonio Rudiger, Phil Foden. Top speed of 35.4 kilometres an hour. The UEFA 17th fastest Champions League player, faster than Karim Adeyemi, Eduardo Camavinga, Rafinha, Darwin Núñez. All very well known rapid, fast players. He's one of the fastest players I think we've ever seen at Celtic. So those stats speak for themselves, and he's somebody who's just so pivotal. So hands off him in the summer, everybody. He's ours. It'll be a hard job. I think that in the summer we're going to hear stories. Naturally, you know, he's 27 years of age, entering those prime years. This year he's really kicked on to becoming not just a great workhorse of a player, but a great technical player as well, with his goals and assists. So yeah, I hope that we can manage to keep a hold of him. I'm sure we can. Throw every penny that we can at the guy, because he's probably the most important part of this team at the minute. Take him out and I think we'd really struggle to replace him. He's a unique enigma of a player, one that whenever he does move on, whether it would be suddenly this year or in 5 years time, it's going to be so hard to replace him. So yeah, what a player, what a guy, and keep it up, Dyson. Keep terrorising those defenders all over Europe. And final story for today, in case you are bothered, there's a new Celtic shop planned for Glasgow city centre in Queen Street, of all places. Apparently Celtic have filed for planning approval from Glasgow City Council to open up next door to Primark on Queen Street. If you're from Glasgow, which I'm assuming the most of us are here, you will know exactly where I'm talking about. Just on the corner beside the big side entrance to Primark, Celtic have applied for planning approval to open up there sometime soon, and it leaves a question as to whether or not that means the Argyle Street store would be closing. I assume that it would. They would move into this new flagship store around the corner, but who knows? I mean, you know, as many shops as possible Celtic I think would like. It's a cause for advertisement, and you want people to be leaving Queen Street Station, walking down the road and being presented with a Celtic shop before a Rangers shop. That's how marketing works. So yeah, it's no surprise that they want to get closer to the main centre of the city, and we wait to see what happens about that. But there you go. It's unclear whether the current city centre shop would remain open on Argyle Street if this new flagship store opens. Celtic have put in an application for advertisement consent and are waiting on approval from the council's board. So we could have another Celtic shop very, very soon. And that's it for today. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Sorry, it's limited. It's a very limited edit today. I've just been screen sharing. I am in such a rush today to get stuff done. So I hope you can forgive me. But until next time, take care of yourselves. God bless. And we'll see you tomorrow for the preview of St Mirren away.